Okay, today we're going to be talking about solving one-step equations. And in Chapter 2, we discussed how we could use mental math to actually solve for x. So we were able to ask ourselves, well, what can I add to x to get 72? And obviously our students were able to come up with 62. But since our standard is Algebra 5.0, which is solving multi-step equations, there's going to come a point in time when you're not able to actually solve it just in your mind. So we're going to take you through a series of videos that start out relatively simple and progressively get more difficult. So let's look at this very first equation. And there's actually two ways that you could do this. So I'm going to just draw a line down the center here. Okay. And the very first thing that you should do when solving equations is you're trying to isolate, that's one of our vocabulary words, we're trying to isolate x. And in order to isolate x, we need to get rid of everything else that's on this side of the equal sign. So your very first step should be to try and either add or subtract and do the inverse operation of what's happening here. So if you look at this one, 10 is being added to x. So I'm going to subtract 10 from this side. And what I do on one side of the equation, I have to also do on the other side of the equation. Now, I like to draw a little line down the middle, and that way I don't get confused from what's happening on this side and what's happening on this side. Now, over on the right-hand side, 72 minus 10 is going to give me an answer of 62. I bring down my equal sign. A positive 10 and a negative 10, those are just going to cancel. And I'm left with x. So x equals 62 is my answer. And as usual, I ask you to box them in. Now the great thing about this is that you can go back and you can substitute 62 for x, substitution, again, another one of our key vocabulary words, into the equation. So if I substitute 62 into our original equation, 62 plus 10 equals 72, and I ask myself if that is correct, well, it is. So this checks out. So x does equal 62. Okay, let's try it another way. Let's say, again, let's start with the same equation. X plus 10 equals 72. And this one is very, very simple, but I'm going to use the box method. Okay, so first I have x, and I'm only going to use two boxes here, okay? And what I have is I'm looking at what happens to x first, okay? So right off the bat, we're adding 10 to x, which ends up giving me 72. I'm going to bring my 72 down here again. Now here, since I added 10, I'm going to do the opposite here, and I'm going to subtract 10, which will give me 62. So my answer then is x equals 62.